What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the lack of uploads recently. I've been sitting here just bored out of my mind. Modern Warfare has kind of turned into a crap show. I'm just sitting here waiting for Halo, honestly. That's what I've been waiting for like pretty much since the beginning of this year. So the simple fact is that I have been pretty much bored since the beginning of this year. There have just been games to fill the gap. I'm hoping Halo will release soon, but I'm sitting here just like, what do I even do? And so to fill my time, I've been doing some interacting with various places in like on Twitter and stuff like that. And these past few days have been particularly interesting on Twitter for various reasons. Most of you watching this particular video will know that on the 11th, I was just about to go to bed on the 11th. Actually, I went to bed really late on the 11th, and I was not falling asleep like usual, and that's a joke. Insomnia is not a joke, but that was a joke, so take that as you will, but that's gonna get non-kid friendly by YouTube. That's another video though. Anyways, going to bed late, I went to bed and I was just looking on my phone ready to set my alarm, and I just went to Twitter because I usually just check Twitter for the freaking fun of it at the end of the night, because sometimes some of the trending stuff is funny, or sometimes some of the tweets that come up are funny. I don't know. I really had no reason for doing it. I was just wanting to delay the inevitable lack of sleep I was going to get. But anyways, I did get enough sleep, by the way. So I don't know why you care about that. Anyways, the number one trending on that day was the hashtag GameFreakLied. I never got a screen cap of it because I'm in college and I'm either constantly in college or constantly not on Twitter, because I like to spend as little time on Twitter as humanly possible. Because, you know, Twitter is Twitter, and Twitter is awful, and Twitter is the worst website to be when you want to have an opinion. So, I go on Twitter and see this hashtag trending. When I saw the hashtag, it had about 1,000 people tweeting about it, and I was like, okay, that's pretty normal for a trending tweet. I looked at it. It was pretty interesting to see. These people were comparing. I do have some of the tweets saved and liked and stuff. I went through a ton of stuff. These past few days have been nothing but liking these tweets, saving these tweets about all this various stuff that was going on with this trend, because it was fascinating to me to see what was happening with this trend and just how far down the rabbit hole these people went to attack the developers and attack Game Freak in general. No one said anything about the Pokemon Company until people started replying that it was the Pokemon Company doing this. But the real stem of the issue, and where I'm going to start, is something that you are already familiar with, is that Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming out in one day from when I am posting this. It probably won't launch earlier. I'm getting a physical copy, so it doesn't matter for me. But Pokemon Sword and Shield launches tomorrow, and I'm fully expecting this to be a pretty long video, because there's a lot to scrape through for this that I want to talk about. So this could end up being like a 30-45 minute video, but I'm totally okay with that, because I want to look at this and see what I can kind of divulge in terms of the information that you, the viewer, need to know. I will probably be taking an opinionated stance towards the end of the video, but I will try to provide the basic information at first of what we know about all these leaks. And I have a bunch of stuff saved going back to the 11th, starting on actually the it started a while back. So I was it was happening on the 11th, but people didn't really start going crazy about it until, you know, just about 15 hours ago, which was about 11 a.m. this morning. So yeah, it was pretty close to the 11th when it started really going crazy. Like when I saw it, it just had 11,000 tweets, but yesterday morning when I woke up, it had 50,000 tweets about it. Now I can skim through tweets as good as anyone, but I just went to I went to that trending, and my brain, I think it was one of the first times that seeing so many tweets with so much negativity actually shut my brain down, just because of how much negativity I was seeing. I don't like I love ranting about games. You all know I love ranting about games. I haven't done it in a while, and I'll probably do it again soon for something at some point. I'm sure it'll be about 343 screwing up Halo, which is inevitable, but we'll see. I have high hopes for the MCC collection, but it's 343. Guys, they've had 2 games. Anyways, I was looking at all this Pokemon stuff, and I was just looking down and just scrolling through it like crazy, just trying to get all this information. The general consensus was that Game Freak lied, and that's why the hashtag was in fact Game Freak lied. And the general consensus was that there was this data mine that came from 4chan. Obviously, the most reputable source to get a leak from is 4chan. So they got this. There are a bunch of people who got their hands on this leak and brought it to Twitter, probably the second most reputable. If you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic about all. Like, Twitter and 4chan are the 2 worst places to go for understanding a game, a video game, or anything like that. If you play video games, just try not to, just don't go on Twitter. Just don't go on Twitter to have your opinion influenced, because people on Twitter will try to influence your opinion. Just don't, okay? I learned that today and yesterday that you shouldn't go on Twitter when stuff like this is trending. Just stay off of it, and you'll probably just staying off Twitter in general will make you a happier person. But anyways, seeing this trending stuff was a little bit of a disappointment to me. It was this wire mesh comparison, and I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot about all this development stuff with like the modeling and the wire meshing and all that other stuff. I just don't have a lot of research. I don't have a lot of experience in that. I've never made a game, obviously, so that's pretty clear, but there are a lot of things I'm going to be referring to. I don't know if I'll be able to get everything in my sources, but I will try to give credit to all the sources that I look at. And by giving credit to the sources, I hope I can just make this discussion. This is going to be kind of a discussion, sort of opinionated at the end, but for the most part, I'm going to try to make this a discussion on this whole situation and looking at the facts. The fact is that despite the relative 50-50 chance that leaks are correct, a lot of the time leaks are correct because data mining has been getting a lot of credibility recently with its leaks. And a lot of data miners are really good. Like the Gaming Revolution is one leaker that I can think of particularly that so far has had a pretty impressive track record with his leaks. And I can think of a few others who leak stuff for Battlefield games, for even for Pokemon games. There are famous leakers for that. And the general consensus is that yes, this stuff got leaked, but there have been a lot of people questioning the legitimacy of this particular leak, thanks to a tweet by Laura Miller, who is a developer on this strange-looking game. She worked at Ubisoft previously, and I looked at her post. She made this post that said, "I'd like to talk about this proof." Proof was in quotations that Game Freak lied. As a 3D artist with over 7 years of experience making games. These wireframe comparison images have no source. It seems to originate from somewhere on 4chan, the height of internet credibility, question mark? Then back to Twitter again. There's literally nothing to support this data mine actually happened. I could fake these screenshots in under an hour by selecting one of two identical models in a 3D viewport, which would create the black and white outlines. It's impossible to judge the development decisions without working on the game. Anyone calling themselves a dev who craps on other people's work is unlikely to have made a game at all. It's a small industry and there's no better way to show you're horrible to work with. Does it really matter even if they did reuse models? The game looks like it has a ton of new content. I'd rather you have the Currydex, Gigantamax, a new world, and cool new creatures. Have you seen Poltegeist? I have. It's the worst new Pokemon. But anyways, that's beside the point. Do you honestly think Game Freak lied maliciously to upset everyone? That development planning is set in stone from the outset, and everyone knows exactly what will happen? You should talk to any producer. Please just be kind and consider researching information before retweeting in a rage. It might be true, it might not be, but it's undeniable that people worked hard on this game. Maybe consider playing it before having such harsh opinions of it, or don't buy it. Reading this tweet was a whirlwind because there are so many responses. Her tweet was one of the many tweets that went viral on this thread, and her tweet in particular did go viral because she actually looked at it with some sort of rationality. Not like some of the tweeters that I loved. Like I said, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to look through some of these tweets just to see people like I'm coming at this from a totally I'm coming at this from a midpoint right now. So I'm going to present these tweets to you and try to, and you can have your own opinion about these people's thoughts, but remember when I look at this tweet, the fact that Breath of the Wild had about, I'd say maybe, when was the last even? Breath of the Wild had a ton of development time. Let's put it that way. So this guy, I am Sir Zach, tweeted that despite the fact that Game Freak lied and did all the crap they did, people will still have no self-control and give them money they don't deserve, ascending to eternal consumer levels of stupidity. On the left is Pokemon, on the right is Breath of the Wild. Now, you could say that, yes, I agree that some of the textures in Pokemon look very lackluster. I will gladly say that. And there's other stuff I'll talk about later that I do think looks really lackluster in the game. Does the fact that the grass and the tree textures look bad affect my opinion of wanting the game or not? No, because Pokemon textures have never, ever in history looked anything good. Even on the 3DS, Pokemon was incomparable to games like Mario Kart, to games like anything in the Mario series. It's unfortunate that Pokemon has gotten this treatment, but Pokemon is so much more about these textures and stuff like that. I'm not defending the games at all, but I think that Pokemon has clearly always been about the gameplay over the graphics. And that's what makes Pokemon, in my opinion, such a consistently good series, is that Game Freak is always focused on what makes the games fun, and that's the Pokemon themselves. Now, you could say that, the Pokemon aren't even existing, and yes, that is the whole national Pokedex situation. That is probably the main concern behind all of this, is the fact that Game Freak did say that the game was cutting down on the amount of Pokemon because they wanted to work on better models. Now, who knows if anything got lost in translation? Who knows? There's a lot to be said about the translation abilities. There's a lot to be said about what he meant by models, because I think there could have been an unfortunately large amount of information that was lost in translation here, because Masuda could have meant anything from the texture models to the Poke models, anything like that. I don't know. I can't tell you what he meant, because no one knows what he meant, because Game Freak haven't commented on this, and I find it a little bit strange that Game Freak haven't commented on this for whatever reason. It is extremely infuriating that Game Freak hasn't said anything about this. And I will say that it is a poor representation of the company to not have said anything, especially considering this trend, like just as of a few hours ago, the trend is gone now because it's taken place by a bunch of other bullcrap that doesn't matter to me now. But the trend got up to 77,000 tweets. The highest it had was 77,000 people tweeting about this. I'm not going to say that it's irrelevant, but this is one of the highest trending things I've seen this whole year. And it is the spark of this whole Sword and Shield dev flow being a lot of really cloudy judgments, a lot of cloudy development, not a lot of clear, concise, like, this is what the game is, this is what you can expect. And only recently have we really gotten any idea of what the development of this game was like, and the fact that now a lot of reports are coming up that Game Freak has been really low on their morale recently due to this whole situation. And that sucks. A lot of 2019 has seen game developers quit or move studios or just quit gaming entirely just because of this crunch time, this industry treating people like garbage who develop games because publishers only want it for the money, and devs are being essentially slapped over the rear end, not to make light of it, but they are literally being treated like cattle sometimes to develop these games. And I'm sure a game with the popularity and the consistent pressure, something like Pokémon, I'm sure, takes a huge slap in the back to get their games out on release date. Because frankly, a lot of games on Nintendo are delayed. Like Animal Crossing, it has been famously delayed, but Animal Crossing doesn't have nearly the standing that Pokemon has. Yes, it has an extremely dedicated fan base, but Pokemon is going to sell gangbangers, considering this is the first mainline game on the Switch, and considering that it is a mainline game, and considering it's freaking Pokemon, it's gonna destroy the top 10 sales of this year. I know it. And here's the big problem with a lot of people that I saw. This is, people take leaks at face value. There's no real research that people do into it. Yes, 4chan was the origination of it. People found this stuff by data mining the game. I don't know how people are getting the game. I assume by early stores breaking the store releases, and that's probably how people have been getting this. But like Laura said, it really, I don't know about all this stuff, but based on what she said, it does seem really easy to fake all this stuff. I'm not saying it's faked. I have a strong suspicion that due to the credibility of a lot of leaks this year, due to the credibility of a lot of leaks this year, I have a strong suspicion that this leak could be correct, but I don't know. Along with this whole wire mesh, whatever you call it, situation that easily could have been faked, according to a developer who spent 5 years at Ubisoft, even though Ubisoft makes trash games, but she was there when they were making But, you know, I mean, still, working for a company like Ubisoft, I think you should take her word. I think you should take her word. In that it may seem easy to port these things in, but I don't feel confident that it was probably as easy as people may have thought it to be. Who knows? I don't. That's why I'm not presenting it as fact. I'm presenting it as you can take it how you want it. I'm prepared for this video to either this video is gonna die on release because YouTube is trash and YouTube effectively just killed itself today. So who knows what content creation on YouTube will be like in the future. Here's hoping that a new company takes over or something else gets made, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that I am extremely passionate about this situation. I have been presenting this as much on the midline as possible. IGN was one of the first reviews that I saw pop up, and based on reviews that I've seen of the game, and based on the general consensus of what I've seen so far, I've seen that at least reviewers have been really, really positive about the game. Yes, it is lower than Pokemon Yellow. A lot of the Pokemon is lower than Pokemon Black and White, which I thought were extremely dull, even though they did have good storylines. I thought they were dull games that, I don't know, I prefer Diamond and Platinum, but there are a lot of reasons for that. And I don't know. It really does seem like a lot of people want to hate this game just because of the absence of the National Pokedex. From the beginning, I never gave two craps that it was ever there. That was never going to influence my decision. Looking through this Game Freak lied stuff, I initially was really disappointed. I was like, this is kind of a new low for Game Freak that they would have lied. But you know what? I decided to take a step back because I've been taking everything at face value. I'm not a blind consumer like a lot of people are. I'm sitting here trying to understand what this industry is doing, and even though I have such a small community and I have such a small voice, I pride myself in trying to only support the devs that do it good, and I try to sift through the garbage, and I try to understand what exactly is happening in this industry. And I'll tell you that overall, what is happening in this industry is a bunch of freaking bullcrap garbage. Like Pokemon releasing Pokemon Go and having this event that was garbage that locked the Registeel, Regirock, and Regice behind some sort of paid thing, which was scummy, but Nintendo is horrible with their mobile games. That's why they never put that stuff in their mainline games, because their mainline games can't help to be attacked by microtransactions, but their mobile games, who cares, right? Who cares? Yeah, nobody cares exactly, because mobile games, whatever. But anyways, IGN's review is extremely positive. It is reviewed by a revered Pokemon player whose name is Casey. Oh gosh, I'm going to butcher this. I had this prepared and I still can't. I'm going to butcher this guy's name so hard. Casey DeFreitas? Casey DeFreitas? I feel sorry to Casey for messing up your name so badly, but this reviewer gave Pokemon Sword and Shield a 9.3 out of 10. It's a very high score, yes. It is a very high score for a game that has been so heavily critiqued for its lack of National Pokedex and the general sentiment that it has cut out content. From what I've seen, it has not cut out content. It has simply added other stuff. I'm not using that to defend it. I'm using these reviews that I've seen that seem to have a lot of emphasis on the fact that the games, while they have cut some stuff, it seems like most reviewers have agreed that the games have added enough stuff to make the games worth it. A lot of the reviews have been saying that while the game may not be as hardcore, that the game does invite a return to the nuzlocking, to the competitive side. I've never taken Pokemon super competitively or anything like that. But I think if I like Sword and Shield enough, I am at a level of I want to enjoy Pokemon, and I've never, this is the first time I've been at this stage where a mainline Pokemon game has actually coincided with a time where I've been taking a lot of games competitively. I've been taking first-person shooters competitively. I've been taking third-person shooters competitively. Everything in between, I've been taking competitively. And at this point, I feel like if this game does it right, I could look at this game from a competitive side and do some breeding, do some training. I don't know. I just want a Pokemon where I can invest a lot of time. And from the reviews I've been reading, again, these could be a lot of, corporate shill. Gladys has said that Pokemon has a lot of content. Pokemon has never been the game that has 800 bajillion hours of content like Ubisoft games that drown you in repetitive missions that last 80 hours. I don't want that. I want a linear game. Doom was, $30 and lasted 9 hours? I loved Doom. Or maybe it was $20. I think it got lowered in price. Whatever, besides the point. Doom had debatably a short story for its heavy price. I don't care. Link's Awakening was what? Link's Awakening Remake. Well, that was like 14, 16 hours or something like that. I loved that game. And it only has 14 or 16 hours. And it was a full $60 game. And I didn't feel like my money was robbed because I genuinely enjoyed my time with the game. I've agreed with a lot of people in the sentiment that I used to think, like even as early as last year, I thought that games that were $60 should have 60 hours of content. Now, I just realized that games, even if they're $60, I don't want a game that drowns me in 200 hours of pointless crap like Ubisoft games and Ubisoft games do. I want a game that gives me an enjoyable experience, and that's it. I don't care if it's $60, $50, $40, $200. I'm not going to pay $200 for a video game. But even if games started costing $200, which they won't, maybe they will in like 2049, but if games costed $200 and that was the norm in the future, it would be the same situation. When Pokemon games were $40, when Sun and Moon were $40, I think I spent like 15 hours playing Moon, and I didn't care that it was $40 for 15 hours. I loved Moon. Well, I didn't love Moon. I liked it. It was a decent, serviceable game. It didn't really provide any competitive stuff for me. I know a lot of people took that game competitively, but I think it was one of the easiest Pokemon games. And certainly Let's Go Eevee was not a competitive game by any means. Let's Go Eevee was a romp through Baby Town, a game that was made for 4-year-olds. And yes, I will stand by that statement. I still enjoyed Let's Go Eevee because it was a fun game that was fun. And that's all that video games need to be. Yes, I like games for a good story. I played God of War. I played Resident Evil 7. Other games, I guess. But I am a gamer at heart. I do all this coverage talking into a microphone stuff because I am a passionate person who loves video games, who just wants to see the industry get to a good place. Will it? Probably not. Can we just stop hating? I'm not saying we shouldn't stop criticizing. There's a difference between what I'm saying here. And I know a lot of people are going to skip past this part and take what I say out of context. And that's fine. You can take what you can out of context. But if you take stuff out of context, you're the type of person that will probably never enjoy a video game for what it is. And honestly, at this point, I would agree with YouTubers like Big Fry and a lot of other people who have been saying that honestly, gaming is about gaming and literally nothing else. And I think that speaks for itself when you think about Pokemon. Pokemon has never been about the graphics. Pokemon has never been about these amazing tree textures. People have been looking at the tree textures and saying, oh, the tree textures make Pokemon a bad game. Yeah? Ghost Recon Breakpoint had bad tree textures, but it was also a bad game. No matter what you say about Pokemon, the formula of Pokemon is a tried and true formula, and that's why the series has been around for 23 freaking years. Yes, it may be a little bit oversaturated at this point. But it has been 3 years since Sun and Moon, so I think it's fair to say that they probably put a decent amount of work into trying to put something fresh into this game. I'm not saying that Game Freak made it perfect, okay? Don't come into here and say Gladys corporate shill for Nintendo. I love Nintendo's games, but I'm not saying that it's gonna be a perfect game. I haven't had faith in Pokemon since, like, Black and White. The last Pokemon game I really, truly loved was Diamond and Pearl. And what was Diamond and Pearl? I gotta look it up because I don't even remember. Pokemon Diamond. I don't even remember. What was it like? Was it like 2008? 2009? Yeah, 2007. 2000. Yeah, I was close actually. 2007. I played both of them. Diamond and Pearl. These were in 2007. That has been. I played these on. That's kind of crazy. I played those games on release, and that's been 12 years ago. I was 8 years old when I played those games. Oh my god, that's kind of crazy to think about, actually. I wasn't even double digits when I played those games. I love those games. Those were I can genuinely remember that those were the last Pokemon games that I truly loved. When I think Black and White was after Diamond and Pearl. I think it was Pokemon Black and White. Yes, it was in 2010. Yeah, that was right after Generation 5. I wasn't sure. Black and White did introduce 156 Pokemon, which is extremely impressive for a new mainline game. And that is why Black and White received such unanimous praise, because they had a pretty good story and a lot of content and a lot of Pokemon to catch. I've never been one to catch all the Pokemon. I think the most Pokemon I caught was probably in Diamond and Pearl, which I got pretty freaking close, if I remember correctly, to catching all of the Pokemon. But I've never really cared. I've never really cared about catching or trading or transferring all the Pokemon. Because honestly, I'm a college student. I make films. I play video games because I play video games. I don't have time for that crap, man. I'm in college. I'm aspiring in film. I don't have time for that garbage, okay? I just don't have time. And I know a lot of people do have time. I know there are a lot of people who play video games all day, and that's totally fine if you do that. Your life is your choice, and I'm not going to judge you if you choose to play Pokemon all day. I'd love to play Pokemon all day. If I could play Pokemon Diamond and Pearl all day, I would. But I'm an idiot, and I sold them away. So slap me twice and call me freaking an idiot. Because I am. But if I could play Pokemon all day, I would. But I can't. End of story. So it's funny to me that this situation has sort of... It's still a thing, but I was not surprised to see the trend go away, because honestly, at the end of the day, it's not going to affect anything. Modern Warfare is another situation where it was trending that the game had loot boxes and that Activision was trash. Yes, Activision is trash, but Infinity Ward turned that crap 180 degrees, took loot boxes out of the game under Activision's demand. How is it that Activision is doing something good right now? How is it? How is it that Activision... How is it that Activision freaking Blizzard did something good? What timeline are we living in right now that a Call of Duty doesn't have microtransactions and doesn't have loot boxes? What is this world right now? It's a good timeline. And while Modern Warfare still remains to be a thoroughly unenjoyable game, despite the fact that I've put already like 30 hours into the game or something, because it's Call of Duty, whatever. But despite the fact that it's an unenjoyable game, I know that I can enjoy Pokemon because I enjoy Pokemon, because I love Pokemon, and I've played every single game in the franchise. Not a joke. No joke, I have played every single Pokemon game that has been released ever. Yes, I played Pokemon Snap. Yes, I played the weirdly forgotten Pokemon Ranger that nobody seems to ever remember. I don't remember it a lot. I remember it being decent. I've played every mainline game. I've played all the freaking Mystery Dungeon games. Actually, I still do have the recent one. I do have to play the most recent one. Maybe. Maybe? I don't know. The main point is that here's where my opinion comes in. It's not... I'm going to play the games. I've made my decision. These past few days have been such a freaking roller coaster of, like, emotions and, like, going through Twitter, and I've been talking to a lot of people, and I had a really, really nice conversation. And I do want to give these two that... I had a really good conversation. This guy, Colin Moriarty, he did make a funny joke. It is really deplorable that IGN gave a review on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that there was too much water. That does sum up IGN. I think IGN's review of Sword and Shield was much better, and I did read the review thoroughly. It doesn't really spoil anything that I didn't already know about the games, but I did look through... I read the review, and the review is actually really good. But this Colin Moriarty, who is a writer of some sort of unannounced PS4 game, he said, "Can someone please tell me about the specific water content of Pokemon Sword and Shield? It's all I cared about." This guy Alex said, "For the litany of problems the game has, apparently too much water, in quotes, is not one of them." Guy Ward, according to reviews, it didn't really have that many issues, but we could be reading different ones. Alex said the more heavily weighted, whatever that means, IGN and GameSpot reviews sort of inflated its Metacritic score up to 81. But if you have the chance, give the Eurogamer review a read. I read the Eurogamer review. It's a good review. Everyone has their own opinions about what a game should be. Eurogamers specifically pointed to the lack of Pokemon and the general seemingly empty open world. We don't know what the open world is going to be like because there's very little gameplay that's been made public, so we don't know. The general public doesn't know. People have gotten their hands on, like, the public games. People have been getting their hands on, like, the games that are at, like, in stores who have broken the store release dates. People have been getting their hands on it. There have been streams of people playing it. Yeah, it looks... I didn't look at anything because I don't want my opinion influenced by any streamer who's going to be, like, having their chat filled with Twitch people who are on Twitch, and, you know, going to Twitch is probably the third worst place to get your opinions from. So that's from someone who streamed for 7 months on Twitch. So don't come here telling me that you've never been on Twitch before. I streamed for 6 months on Twitch. It is the most toxic, one of the most toxic places that exists, and that's why I stopped streaming there. YouTube is toxic as well. YouTube is probably the fourth worst place to get your opinions from, because YouTube comments are almost as bad as Twitch chat. I don't know. I responded to this tweet with a sort of heavy-handed tweet. I said that the review that, in quotes, the review that I agree with is the one I care about, and IGN and GameSpot were paid off Eurogamer's best. And there was this conversation that ensued with Ward. He said, "I just use OpenCritic. I picked a handful of them. None of them really speak to any serious issues as far as technical stuff goes. Just standard Pokemon issues, which is that Pokemon is Pokemon has always been Pokemon, and I won't say anything more about it. You can formulate your own opinion about Pokemon. I think Pokemon is good for what it is. It's a fun game to play for fun, and I might play this one competitively. Who knows?" Alex responded to this, "To be clear, I never said anything about playing Pokemon. To be clear, I never said about paying anyone off. Thus, my straw man argument," responding to Ward's trollish, responding to my trollish tweet. My point was they're getting mixed reviews, which in and of itself is sort of noteworthy for a $60 AAA game. I said, not mixed reviews. It is sitting at an 81 now, which is pretty positive. Alex said, how many $60 Nintendo games have a lower score than that? I couldn't really scrape through all of them. I'm going through like 4 layers of tweets on this conversation. I'm fairly certain there are a lot with lower than that. I cannot list them all out because I said there are so many games. And then Ward said, Yoshi's Crafting. I hope these guys don't mind. These tweets are public, so it's not like it's private information. Ward said, Yoshi's Crafted World, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Labo Arms, Mario Tennis Aces, Fire Emblem Warriors. Those are specific games that have gotten lower scores than 81. And I agree with all those that I think all those are even more lackluster games. I said it's very unfair to think that you should have to cherry pick games to prove that Sword Shield are bad. Clearly they're good based on these early reviews. It's clear that they maybe won't be for everyone. Pokemon has never been for everyone. The notoriously baby-fied Let's Go Eevee got 6.2 out of 10 for most user reviews. And while I liked Let's Go Eevee, it is a game for babies. And it was a game that I could turn my brain off and play, but I didn't particularly care for anything that was in the game. I didn't like Let's Go, and I certainly didn't like it being put into the first instance of Pokemon on a console, but at least it's not making its way into the mainline games. Alex never said it was bad. We had this conversation. Alex said something that I really appreciated. That there are problems, but the formula is too solid for me to straight up say the game is bad. Plus, he said something that I really appreciate. He said, plus I haven't even played it. At worst, I could say it's not the leap forward I personally wanted to be when I heard it was coming to console. I really appreciated that comment because he did mention that nobody, he specifically, I specifically, and Ward probably specifically, none of us in this comment section have played it. And I do agree with him that there is more that could be done. And I hope that maybe for the next Pokemon after this, they'll take more time and maybe add in a little bit more. If not add in a little bit more, at least make the textures decent. You know, the textures aren't going to pull me away, but there are some laughable animations like this turning animation from, I think it's Zacian that's doing this turning. The freaking names of the legendaries are so hilariously cringy, but I mean, whatever. Pokemon naming has been horrible since after Black and White. So, I don't know. Alex responded, Twitter sort of lends itself to outrage and hysteria, unfortunately. Mostly, I just wish I was more excited on the eve of finally getting the HD mainline Pokemon game I've wanted. Like, I should be so excited I can barely sleep for this. And this hasn't really been the case. Ward said, oh, look at this fun Twitter debate. I love it, glad we can at least talk like normal human beings. And Alex said it's always nice when people can disagree on the internet and it doesn't devolve into insults being hurled at each other. So this conversation ended with, I said this on a tweet replying to someone else, Jess, who said that I'm literally like scrolling through like 80 levels of tweets right now. Jess said, he never accused the other reviews of being paid for or said that this review was more important than them. Someone wasn't aware of a review listing certain issues, so we gave them the option to check it out for themselves. Did you even read the tweet you replied to? Ward said, the conversation has moved on. I'm aware just seems unfair for Alex to get crap for something that he didn't seem to say. My tweets did seem like an accurate portrayal of many people, but Alex doesn't seem to be one of them. I said that that's exactly what I was going for. Most people I figured would be commenting on a positive review in this way, saying that the positive reviews were simply paid for. And if you look at the IGN review, yeah. If you look at the tweet specifically, you can see that a lot of people believe that IGN and GameSpot and everyone people legitimately believe that every single review that gave it a positive score was paid off. If you think Nintendo has enough money to pay off these reviewers to do that, for one, no reviewer is going to do that because nobody does that anymore. Because, shut up, nobody does that anymore. I'm not legitimizing any of these reviews, but shut up, nobody does that anymore. I said I wasn't trying to specifically target anyone. I wasn't. I was generally saying that I believed that people were going to comment like that. Just said no problem here. Admittedly, I didn't see the later replies. I said, yeah, it's all good. We had a good conversation that filled me with that nice, wholesome feeling, you know, a good conversation on the internet that ended in it was a civilized debate rather than just a argument filled with hate. And I'm not a hateful person. I like to have constructive debates. And this was probably the best conversation I've had on Twitter this whole year. And it is saying something that it is about Pokemon. I think it's clear that out of all of this, I think we can get that Pokemon has a really established and great fan base. And I think it's pretty obvious that the fan base just wants to see the games be good. And I agree. I say that I think Pokemon has stalemated, sort of. And, you know, Pokemon is stalemated into just being more Pokemon, which for me is fine. I understand for others they want the games to move on, but I'm not looking at Pokemon as Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not looking at Pokemon as like the next evolution of the RPG. It is a single-player RPG with no microtransactions. I can't say any more other than that Nintendo is a good company that cares about its... And whether Game Freak lied or not, whether Game Freak purposefully lied or not, I don't believe they did. I just don't believe it. And whether they did or not, it could have been a mistake on their part. I don't know. I'm not defending them because it is really, really strange that these wireframes are so similar to each other and the animations are so... I will agree that the animations are probably going to be a huge factoring in my review of the game. And I can't wait for my review to be probably twice the length of this video, because there will certainly be a lot to talk about when the game's all said and done. But like I've said about games, I've only done one review, and that's because Greedfall is the only game I have thoroughly finished and spent enough time with. I will only review Pokemon Sword and Shield once I have finished the game. I don't care that the review is going to be late. I said, and it is really, Alex said it is a bit unfortunate that the first reply here before we got it cleared up got the most likes. Because Alex actually said that he sounds like an a-hole based on this characterization. I don't think Alex was any type of crappy person. I think maybe I was wrong in generalizing people in the Pokemon community. Because I think based on this conversation, it's clear that there are people in this community who genuinely care about Pokemon and who want to see the game succeed. And I think these are the people that are doing it right, who are having the right conversations about Pokemon. And I want to be a part about the right conversations. There have been some conversations that have devolved into pure, unmitigated hatred. And I got out of those conversations. I wasn't even a part of... I would say I was part of probably 20% of the conversations that took place on the first day. After that, my conversations were down to like 1% because there were like 50,000 freaking tweets that happened, and you know, that was fun, wasn't it? So yeah, he said, what are we gonna do? We're all cool now. And I think that is a great representation of the Pokemon community. And I have to shout out these guys for having a good conversation on Twitter that was a debate, but it ended in something actually being said rather than just some random crap being spewed out. There have been a lot of concerns also about the length of the games. According to a lot of reviewers, it seems like the game has about 30 to 45 hours of content. I've always said that Pokemon is the length that you make it. Pokemon is about multiple playthroughs. Pokemon is definitely one of the only games that I can say for every game I've done more than one playthrough. For Emerald, I've probably done like 5 playthroughs of Emerald because Emerald is one of my favorite games of all time. For Diamond and Pearl, I think I did 2 playthroughs of each game, and for I would say Black and White was the only series where, while I did play both, so technically I did 2 playthroughs, I only did 1 playthrough of each game. Then after that, X and Y, I only played... After Black and White, I didn't buy every game. So when X and Y came up, I only got Y. And after that, I got Moon. I never played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because they're just remakes. So I don't really count that as mainline games. I would have played them if I gave 2 craps, but honestly, they didn't remake Emerald, which made me extremely sad, and I may or may not have cried. I definitely cried a little bit inside about them not remaking Emerald, but, you know, I'll let sleeping dogs lie if I can be over dramatic. It is sorely amazing to see how well today has gone. I tweeted out so much. I think I added like 13 or 14 tweets to my timeline today talking about Pokemon and how Game Freak has made my life better. Like, I have a huge amount of love and respect for Game Freak and how good they are at developing video games. Not at putting microtransactions in their games. I don't think they lied. I don't know. I don't know what they did, but I just find it... I know I'm putting a lot of faith in the AAA industry right now. I'm just putting it out there that I find it incredibly difficult to believe that Game Freak lied. I'm not being a corporate shill and saying that Game Freak is perfect, because they're not. Because I said multiple times that I think that Pokemon has stagnated a little bit. But like I said, that's not a problem to me, but it is a concern that could mount up in the future. But this game just has so much excitement behind it, and it is a mainline game on the console, and it's awesome. It really is. This has been a long video. I told you it was going to be a long video. I just really think that it's up to the comments for this one. I don't know how well this video is going to do. You never know with YouTube these days. This video could explode or it could fall flat on its face, and I did all this for nothing. But I think I did it for something. I think I had a good reason for doing this because I love Pokemon, and I think a lot of my channel could be in relation to Pokemon if this game is just that good. I do think it is going to be good, and I know I'm going to enjoy it. Simply, you know, I simply think it's going to be a good game. I don't know that. I think that. I hope that. We will see what happens. This has been one of my craziest discussion videos. It is definitely my longest video out of these that I've made. But I'm honestly just so... I just want to play Pokemon, you know? I said this in Modern Warfare. I said this in... What other video did I say this in? I've just said this in a lot of videos that video games are my passion, and I just want to enjoy video games. And I'm going to enjoy Pokemon. And if you're going to play the game, play the game. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, press the like button. If you're going to comment, let's have a conversation. Let's not let it devolve into hate. Let's just have a good conversation. I will be responding to all comments on this video. That being said, thank you all for watching. I will see you on the next one. Peace out.